ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नाम्ने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशधारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम
ओम
नमो
नमो भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो
ओम
भगवते
नमो भगवते
वासुदेवाय
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
6:30 श्री शुक उवाच
श्रीशुक उवाच
इत्यानम्य तम आमन्त्र्य
इति आनम्य तम् आमन्त्र्य
विदुरो गजसाह वयम्
विदुरगयसा वयं
स्वानां दिदृक्षुः प्रययौ
श्वानं दिदृक्षु प्रययौ
ज्ञातीनां निवृत्ताशयः।
ज्ञातिनं निवृत्ताशयः।
Translation: Sukadeva Goswami continued. Vidura thus offered obeisances unto the great sage Maitreya, and taking his permission started for the city of Hastinapur to see his own kinsman, although he had no material desires. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada teaches. When a saintly person wants to see his kinsmen, he has no material desire to see them. He simply wants to give them some instructions so that they can benefit. Vidura belonged to the royal family of the Kauravas, and although he knew that all the family members were destroyed at the Battle of Kurukshetra, he nonetheless wanted to see his elder brother Dhritarashtra, to see if he could deliver Dhritarashtra from the clutches of Maya. When a great saintly person like Vidura sees his relatives, he desires only to deliver them from the clutches of Maya. Vidura thus offered his respectful obeisances to his spiritual master and departed for the city of Hastinapur, the kingdom of the Kauravas. Hare Krishna. So after having this discussion with his spiritual master, finally Vidura has the knowledge, and he now wants to see his kinsman. And as Prabhupada is writing in the purport, his only desire to in doing that is so that he can help deliver his family members. So even though materially it seems that they are his family, he is not considering them his family on that platform, but rather he's just seeing them as other living entities. And because of the situation that this clan has been through, the Battle of Kurukshetra, the Mahabharata, that's why he now desires that we can help Dhritarashtra to be freed from the clutches of Maya. So even with our family, we should ensure that this is our vision, as Rishabh Dev is also saying, that one should not become a mother, father, a guru, or a demigod if he is not able to deliver his dependents. So this should be our vision as well. So even with our family, we should try our best to, give them this knowledge, and then hopefully they will get freed from the clutches of Maya. Hare Krishna. Does anybody want to add something here or have any questions? Okay, would someone like to read the next one?
Hare Prabhu.
Sure, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. 31. एताद्यः शृणुयाद् राजन्
एताद्यः शृणुयाद् राजन्
राज्ञां हरि अर्पितात्मनाम्
राज्यं हरिः अर्पितात्मनाम्
आयुर्धनं यशः स्वस्ति
आयुर्धनं यशः स्वस्ति
गतम् ऐश्वर्यम् आप्नुयात्.
गतम् ऐश्वर्यम् आप्नुयात्.
Translation. O King, those who hear these topics about kings who are completely surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead obtain without difficulty a long life, wealth, good reputation, good fortune, and ultimately the opportunity to return home back to Godhead. purport. This ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport to the 4th canto, 31st chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Narada Instruct Prachetas. So it is said here that those who hear topics about kings were completely surrendered. So important word is completely surrendered. So that's what all devotees with different devotional practices aim to do, that they be completely surrendered to Supreme Personality of Godhead. And within the Bhagavatam, we see instances of multiple kings who are fully surrendered and who follow the instructions laid out to them by their spiritual master and by the Lord. Although they may be in the material world taking care of a kingdom, they are totally surrendered souls and act largely on the spiritual platform because they are completely absorbed in service of the Lord. So, these kings, because they are completely surrendered and carrying out instructions as given to them by their spiritual master, they obtain without difficulty a long life, wealth, good reputation, and good fortune. And ultimately, they return back to Godhead. So, obviously, we are not kings, but to follow in their footsteps, we also have to be completely surrendered and be fully focused on our devotional life. And we will also, forgetting the material aspects of life, ultimately have an opportunity to return home back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Would somebody like to add to that, please?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Sure, please.
We can take the next verse as well. This was a very small one.
Okay. So next we move to 5th canto, chapter 1, and the activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. This chapter describes, so there's a preface to this book. We'll read that and then read the next one. This chapter describes how King Priyavrata enjoyed royal opulence and majesty and then returned to full knowledge. King Priyavrata was detached from worldly opulence and then he became attached to his kingdom, but finally again became detached from material enjoyment and thus achieved liberation. When King Parikshit heard about this, he was struck with wonder, but he was somewhat bewildered as to how a devotee with no attachment to material enjoyment would later become attached to it. Thus, in astonishment, he questioned Sukadeva Goswami about this. In response to the king's inquiries, Sukadeva Goswami said that devotional service, being transcendental, cannot be deviated by any material influences. Priyavrata had received transcendental knowledge from the instructions of Narada. Therefore, he did not want to enter a materialistic life of enjoyment in the kingdom. He accepted the kingdom, however, at the request of such superior demigods as Lord Brahma and Lord Indra, the king of heaven. Everything is under the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller, and everyone must work accordingly, just as a bull is controlled by a rope tied to its nose. So all conditioned souls are forced to work under the spells of the modes of nature. A civilized man, therefore, works according to the institution of Varna and Ashrama. Even in materialistic life, however, no one is free to act. Everyone is compelled to accept a certain type of body offered by the Supreme Lord, and thus be allotted different grades of happiness and distress. Therefore, even if one artificially leaves home and goes to the forest, he again becomes attached to materialistic life. Family life is compared to a fortress for practicing sense control. When the senses are controlled, one may live either at home or in the forest. There is no difference. When Maharaj Priyavrata, following the instructions of Lord Brahma, accepted the royal throne, his father Manu left home for the forest. Maharaj Priyavrata then married Varismati, the daughter of Vishwakarma. In the womb of Varismati, he begot 10 sons, named Angidra, Agnidra, Idvajjiva, Yagnabahu, Mahavira, Hiranyareta, Grihaprashta, Savana, Medhatiti, Vitihotra, and Kavi. He also begot one daughter whose name was Urjvasvati. Maharaj Priyavat lived with his wife and family for thousands of years. The impressions from the rims of Maharaj Priyavata's chariot wheels created 7 oceans and 7 islands. Of the 10 sons of Priyavata, 3 sons, namely Kavi, Mahavira, and Savana, accepted sannyasa, the 4th order of life, and the remaining 7 sons became rulers of the 7 islands. Maharaj Priyavata also had a second wife, in whom he begot 3 sons, named Uttama, Daivata, and Tamasa. All of them were elevated to the post of Manu. Sukadev Goswami thus described how Maharaj Priyavata achieved liberation. Hare Krishna. That's a preface to the 5th canto, and Maharaj Priyavata, and a brief. I think we have read some of this in the earlier cantos, but it again is a summary of Maharaj Priyavata and his lineage. And of importance here is how King Parikshit is eager to hear about this. He was struck with wonder and bewildered as to how a devotee with no attachment would later become attached to it. And this for us is important too, because while we are in this practice, while we are trying to practice devotional service, it is something for us to learn from this lesson as to how one can go either way, and one has to be always careful that one does not fall from devotional service. Would somebody else like to add to that, please?
Hare Krishna, do you know which yuga this was when this happened? Because it's mentioned they were living like thousands of years, so it must be like.
Must be the first yuga.
Okay.
Okay, so we read 5.1.1. Rajavacha
Rajavacha
Priyavrato Bhagavata
Priyavrito Bhagavata
Atma Ramaha Katham Mune
Atma Rama Katham Mun
Vihe Ramata Yanmulaha
Rihe Ramata Yanmukta
Karma Bandha Parabhavaha.
Karma Bandha Parabhava.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Swami Prabhupada. Translation. King Parishad inquired from Sukadev Goswami, O great sage, why did King Priyavata, who was a great self-realized devotee of the Lord, remain in household life, which is the root cause of bondage of karma, fruitive activities, and which defeats the mission of human life? Purport. In the 4th canto, Srila Sukadev Goswami explains that Narada Muni perfectly instructed King Priyavata about the mission of human life. The mission of human life is to realize oneself and then gradually to go back home, back to Godhead. Since Narada Muni instructed the king fully on the subject, why did he again enter household life, which is the main cause of material bondage? Maharaj Parikshit was greatly astonished that King Priyavata remained in household life, especially since he was not only a self-realized soul, but also a first-class devotee of the Lord. A devotee actually has no attractions for household life. But surprisingly, King Priyavrata enjoyed household life very much. One may argue, why is it wrong to enjoy household life? The reply is that in household life, one becomes bound by the results of fruitive activities. The essence of household life is sense enjoyment. And as long as one engrosses his mind in the working hard for sense enjoyment, one becomes bound by the reactions of fruitive activities. This ignorance of self-realization is the greatest defeat in human life. Human form of life is especially meant for getting out of the bondage of fruitive activities. But as long as one is forgetful of his life's mission and acts like an ordinary animal, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, he must continue his conditional life of material existence. Such a life is called Swarupa Vismriti, forgetfulness of one's constitutional position. Therefore, in Vedic civilization, one is trained in the very beginning of life as a brahmachari. Brahmachari must execute austerities and refrain from sex indulgence. Therefore, if one is completely trained in the principles of brahmacharya, he generally does not enter household life. He is then called Naistika Brahmachari, which indicates total celibacy. King Parikshit was thus astonished that the great King Priyavrat, although trained in principles of Naistika Brahmacharya, entered household life. The words Bhagavata Atma Ramaha are very significant in this verse. If one is self-satisfied, as is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is called Bhagavata Atma Ramaha. There are different types of satisfaction. Karmis are satisfied in their fruitive activities. Jnanis are satisfied to merge into the influence of the Brahman. And devotees are satisfied to engage in the Lord's service. The Lord is self-satisfied because he is fully opulent. And one who is satisfied with serving him is called Bhagavata Atma Ramaha. Manushyanam Sahasreshu. Out of many thousands of persons, one may endeavor for liberation. And of many thousands of persons attempting to become liberated, one may achieve liberation from the anxieties of material existence and become self-satisfied. Even that satisfaction, however, is not the ultimate satisfaction. The jnanis and the karmis have desires, as do the yogis, but devotees have no desires. Satisfaction in the service of the Lord is called akama, freedom from desire, and this is the ultimate satisfaction. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit inquired, how could one who is fully satisfied at the highest platform of be satisfied in family life? The words Parabhavaha in this verse is also significant. When one is satisfied in family life, he is doomed because he must have already forgotten his relationship with the Lord. Prahlad Maharaj describes how the activities of family life implicate one more and more. Atmapatam, Griham, Andakupam. Household life is a dark well, and if one falls into this well, his spiritual death is assured. How Priyavrat Maharaj remained a liberated Paramahamsa even within family life is described in text 23 of this chapter. Hare Krishna. So it's like a fairly detailed purport by Srila Prabhupada where he explains quite a bit on multiple topics. So the first thing is Maharaj Parikshit is greatly astonished and that King Priyavrat remained in household life because he knows, and as we see in the last verse of this paragraph, Atma Patam Griham Andakupam. Household life is like a dark well, and if one falls into this, his spiritual death is assured. So, how then did Maharaj Priyavrat, being fully realized and surrendered soul, come into household life and then get out again? That is something that is surprising to King Parikshit, and that's something that we're going to see in this chapter. So, why is it wrong to enjoy household life? Because one becomes bound by the results of fruitive activities. The essence of household life is sense enjoyment, and as long as one engrosses his mind in working hard for sense enjoyment, one becomes bound. So it's the mind working hard, and then you become bound. The ignorance of self-realization is the greatest defeat. So, in contrast to this, the human form of life is the only form in which we can get out of bondage of fruitive activities. So the same thing, in one way, if we are bound by the activities, the mind is like goading us to do more and more fruitive activities, then we are bound by it. While on the other hand, if we train the mind, make the mind the friend, then we can slowly cleanse ourselves and get out of this. So it works both ways. On one hand, we can get bound more and more due to karma and our entanglement. On the other hand, we can make the mind the friend by complete surrender to spiritual master and the Lord and slowly cleanse ourselves. And that is the way to get out of bondage. So, at the very beginning of life, one is trained as a brahmachari. And brahmachari must execute austerities and refrain from sex indulgence. In the Vedic lifestyle, one typically goes through brahmacharya in the beginning under a spiritual master where he is trained in the Vedic literatures. And so one is called a Naistika Brahmachari, which indicates total celibacy. King Parikshit was just astonished that although he was trained as a Naistika Brahmacharya, he entered household life. Because he knows the danger of entering household life and where one could fall either way. One could become entangled or easily entangled, or one can continue on this path after Brahmacharya, become a grihastha who is fully surrendered and still able to serve the Lord to be able to purify oneself. So, the words Bhagavata Atma Rama is very significant in this verse. There are different types of satisfaction. Karmis are satisfied in their fruitive activities. Jnanis are satisfied by merging into effulgence of Brahman. Whereas devotees are satisfied only in engaging in the Lord's service. One is sure to be frustrated either as a karmi or jnani because at some point it would not be as satisfying as if one is engaged in the Lord's service. So, satisfaction in the service of the Lord is called kama, freedom from desire, and this is the ultimate satisfaction. So, even service of the Lord is one should not be. One cannot become attached to that. Even there has to be freedom from desire, and that will become the ultimate satisfaction. So finally, Maharaj Parikshit is inquiring how one is fully satisfied, be satisfied for family life, which we will see in the further verses in this chapter. Hare Krishna. Would somebody else like to explain that, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Sorry for the delay. So very interesting. Actually, this verse is one of the most amazing chapters of Bhagavatam. Actually, every verse of Bhagavatam is amazing, but this is also like still more amazing verse. So here, O great sage, why did King Priyavrat, who was a great self-realized devotee of the Lord, remain in household life, which is the root cause of bondage of karma, which defeats the mission of life? So now, very interesting point that in this purport, Srila Prabhupada is explaining about the dangers of household life. So actually in one of the lectures just about, I think 2 weeks ago, Keshavananda Prabhupada was also explaining the same thing, that in the age of Kali, everyone is degraded. There's no question of brahmacharya in this age. Everyone is so fallen. And the whole environment is so fallen that even a brahmachari, like for example, outside most of our ashrams are in big cities and everything. Like this time I was even in Mayapur. Even if you are living in a holy place like Mayapur, you are bound to see attractive women who are trying to attract you. It's not just attractive women. They're actively trying to attract you. It doesn't matter whether you are a grihastha or a brahmachari, young man, old man, doesn't matter. They're just trying to attract you somehow or the other. So in such a condition, how can one remain brahmachari? One may physically remain a brahmachari, but at the level of consciousness, at the level of thinking, one is like, it's practically impossible. So what is the recourse then? Then why do we talk about brahmachari ashram or grihastha ashram? The point is that a grihastha has many responsibilities and a brahmachari has none. Brahmachari is brahmachari, vanaprastha, sannyasi, they have like no responsibility. So they have more time to dedicate to Krishna. A grihastha doesn't. Grihastha has to take responsibilities. So time is reduced. Now that's one aspect of it. The other is that a brahmachari, even if he is being distracted by Maya, he has opportunity to get away from it. Like a brahmachari is loaded with responsibilities. Even if Maya is attracting him, he has no opportunity to go away. It's just like if you're sitting in a running train and you see something attractive, you can't jump out of it and catch it. So it's just like that, the brahmachari, the devotee is so caught up in activities that he has no time. Yeah, he will find Maya attractive, but he is compelled to not act on it. So a grahastha, actually, if someone is attached to home life, one should understand that one is already fallen. Meaning that someone who is attached to home life already has forgotten Krishna. What are the gopis praying to Krishna? That, my dear Lord, we have left everything for you. Now, gopis, they are like illiterate women, literally. So what is their recourse? According to scriptures, women are never independent. No brahmacharinis, no sannyasinis, nothing. Women must remain grahastha, either under the shelter of father, the son, or father or son. That's it. Women are not allowed to remain independently, father or son. So gopis have given up all of that just because they are attracted to Krishna. So Prabhupada writes, I was reading one of the articles today, like Prabhupada's conversation. He's saying gopis have practically acted like prostitutes because they have given up their character. They have given up the shelter of their husband and their sons, fathers, and husbands, and they have come to Krishna. So in an ordinary circumstance, if a woman leaves the shelter of her husband or father or son, then she's a prostitute. That's all, and she's condemned. But in case of the gopis, they are glorified because they have taken shelter of Krishna. So that should be the mood. So it is to be understood, for a woman, home life is the greatest attraction. But if she is able to give that up, then she is exalted. Then we can understand that there must be a greater attraction. A woman will always leave her husband for her paramour, who's more attractive. So they have given up home attraction because they have been attracted to Krishna. So if someone is attracted to household life, the corollary is that he is not attracted to Krishna. So therefore, it is called graham andhakupam, blind well, because there will be so many things that will tie us down. First will be attraction to wife, then there will be attraction to children, then grandchildren, then to so many designations that we'll acquire. Ato graha kshetra sutapta vittayar. So we can see, actually, you see, we've been preaching for 3 years and we see so many grahasthas have come and gone. And there's always the same excuse, but Prabhu, we have too many responsibilities. 1 day, 2 days, okay, but for 4 years, 5 years continuously, what kind of responsibility is that? The simple reason is Krishna is not attractive enough. Therefore, home life is condemned, because eventually one will completely fall down to plant species, not even animal, plant species. Consciousness will keep on degrading further and further. So actually being a grahastha is not at all conducive to advancement in bhakti, because somewhere down the line we have the safety that I have a home, and then I'll sink deeper and deeper into this darkness. So therefore Maharaj Parikshit is inquiring, how could one who was fully satisfied on the highest platform be satisfied with family life? So Maharaj Priyavrat was already a self-realized soul. So how did he fall into grahasthashram? And then, of course, the next question would be, how did he again leave home life? So what made him so exalted? Hare Krishna. Yes. Any other questions or comments here? Maybe we can take the next verse. Text 2. This is a small one. Na nunam mukta sanganam
Nunamukta sanganam
tadrashanam dvijarshapa
tadrishanam divechara sapha
griheshva abhinivesho yam
griheshu abhinivesho yam
pumsam bhavitum arhati.
pumsa bhavitum arhati.
Who would like to read?
Narrate, Guruji.
Yes, please.
Translation. Devotees are certainly liberated persons. Therefore, O greatest of the Brahmanas, they cannot possibly be absorbed in family affairs. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it is said that by executing devotional service to the Lord, one can understand the transcendental position of the living being and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot be understood by any means except Bhakti. The Lord confirms this in Srimad Bhagavatam 11:14-21. Bhaktyaham ekaya grahya. Only by executing devotional service can one approach me. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Lord Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati. Simply by discharging devotional service, one can understand me. Thus, for a bhakta to become attached to family affairs is impossible, since a bhakta and his associates are liberated. Everyone is searching after ananda or bliss, but in the material world, there can never be any bliss. It is only possible in devotional service. Attachment for family affairs and devotional service are incompatible. Therefore, Maharaj Parikshit was somewhat surprised to hear that Maharaj Priyavrata was simultaneously attached to devotional service and to family life. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. So by discharging service, one can understand me. So it is a seemingly incompatible position. We are seeing. Of course, I wouldn't want to keep this suspense for too long here. So because that topic is going to come much later. The point here is that Maharaj Priyavrata is ordered by the Supreme Lord to take up Grihasthashram. And he's assured by the Lord that he would not lose his devotion to Krishna. And it is only on that condition that Maharaj Priyavrata actually becomes a Grihastha. He's also not inclined. Maharaj Priyavrata is not looking to enter into Grihasthashram. In fact, he's so reluctant that he has refused his own father, Swayambhuva Manu. So he is then ordered by Brahmaji to become a Grihastha, with the assurance that when time comes, he would be able to renounce this ashram also. So this is the question that Maharaj Parikshit is having. So devotees, how can a devotee be attracted to Grihastha life? What is Grihastha life? To enjoy the company of women and children, to enjoy the company of so many relatives and society in general. So a devotee who's even a little bit advanced, I'm not even saying a Madhyamadhikari, even a Kanishtadhikari devotee, when he experiences a little bit of bliss in bhakti, then home attraction starts diminishing. What is home life? Gramya Katha. What do you talk with your wife? What do you talk with your children? Like if you see, children are practically like animals. They're just jumping around here and there. They're just doing nonsense. What kind of a man, what kind of a devotee can derive happiness in that? Jumping with a child all day, night and day, just playing some jokes, playing some games. There is no, even a moderately intelligent man will not enjoy such pastime. Or what does one talk with family and relatives? Gramya Katha. How are you? How's your wife? What is she doing? How many children? What are your children doing? What is happening in the society? What is happening in the nation? All this is Gramya Katha. It will attract only those who have no attraction to Krishna, who have no knowledge of Krishna. Forget the attraction, no knowledge of Krishna. So a devotee who has taken up to even a little bit of devotional service, he will not find such things attractive. He will not find these attractive. For example, if you studied in colleges and all, if you are a very serious student, you will find that there are many students in your college who are not interested in studies. They'll be sitting in the canteens, they'll be sipping cold drinks or tea or just chatting around with each other. And if you're a serious student, you'll realize that academics are important. So you'll go back to your academics. That is more attractive to you. So just like that in Bhakti also, you'll find many people who are not interested. So they're talking nonsense at things, sports, economics, politics, or family. A devotee will be attracted to Krishna. So yes, so the symptom of a devotee, advanced devotee is his level of attraction to Krishna. So if someone is even remotely attracted to Krishna, how can one remain absorbed in family life? Now, this is the important use of term here, absorbed in family life. Graheshva abhiniveshoyam. Abhinivesh, investment, literally. If you see mutual funds and stocks. Abhinivesh, investment. How can one be invested in family life? One knows that this is temporary, 30, 40 years and then gone. Then who would want to make permanent plans for a family? So you're seeing. So that's why he's asking, how could he be invested in family life? Because he performed great activities as a grihastha. So how could he be invested? That is the surprise that Maharaj Parikshit is expressing. So in this material world, if you also want to become detached, you must be attracted to Krishna. You must be attached to Krishna. Otherwise, all this is nonsense. Otherwise, this Edhana Yavana Putra Parijan, Ithe ki ache paritithire, Kamala Dalajala Jivana Talmal, Bhajahu Haripadanitire. So all this family, children, money, education, all these will be finished. And you'll be left to regret. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur is singing, Bhuliya tomare sansare asiya piya nana vidavitha. Saying like, I forgot you and I came here. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is singing, in the end he says that all my life I neglected you, O Krishna. Now old age is approaching, what will be my destination? Now I'm just crying, what will be my destination? All my life I neglected you. So Grihastha is neglecting Krishna. So now what will be his destination? Samprapte sannihita kale nahi nahi rakshati dukrana karani. Samprapte sannihita kale, when time is ending, what will be there? No wife, no children, no wealth. What will you do? You may be the most brilliant doctor or engineer. What will be the use of that education? The most brilliant of doctors cannot save themselves. No children can save. Wife and children can cry. They can't save you. You're going to see that in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Gajendra Moksha. No one is able to save the elephant. So that's why he's surprised that such a person who had already attained this pure devotion to Lord, how could he become absorbed in family life? Hare Krishna. Yes. Any questions or comments? This is a very interesting chapter. Please, please hear this very carefully. Please try to read this chapter very carefully. It's beautiful. The story of Maharaj Priyavrat. Okay, if there are no doubts, then we stop here today. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Jai.
Prabhu.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhu. Wonderful.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Krishna.
Guruji. Dandavat pranam.
Thank you. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat